Hello, this is Chef Brad, America's Grain Guy, teaching you how to make the perfect holiday rolls. Holiday rolls are really the honored guest at the dinner table. You want to make sure they're light and fluffy and full of flavor. So we're going to teach you one of my favorite new recipes I created just for the holiday season, black peppercorn rosemary potato rolls. That's a mouthful, isn't it? Oh, but when you put them in your mouth, you want to have a mouthful of them. They are so good. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to take some rosemary and we're just going to kind of coarsely chop it in our blender. So we just take the rosemary, a nice stalk of rosemary, and just go down, take it off the stem, and put it in your blender. And I love the smell of rosemary. Rosemary is synonymous with turkey and chicken and the holidays, I think. It's such a beautiful, fragrant herb. I grow it all over my garden and I go out and play in it just so I'll smell like it because it smells so good. Now we don't want to do the big woody stalks. A good use for these stalks though, I'll just tell you, is if you're doing kebabs, just take the stalk and put your chicken and meat on it or whatever and then throw it on the grill and it will impart a wonderful flavor to your kebab. Let's get a little bit more here because we want a lot of rosemary in these because that's what this roll is all about. Rosemaries and black pepper. Beautiful. Okay, so we just want to lightly chop this. We don't want to mince it to death. We just want to chop it. So we're going to put our lid on and we're just going to turn this on for just a moment or so. Let's see how that works. No, just another moment. Okay, there we go. Our rosemary is done. So we're going to take our rosemary out. Oh, that smells just like the holiday season. And we're going to dump this in a bowl. The next thing we're going to do, and I want to tell you, and it's okay there's a little rosemary in there because all these recipes are going to go together. The next thing we're going to do is we are going to crack our fresh peppercorns. I have some fresh peppercorns here. And you don't want to use your pepper that's already ground. Two reasons. It's probably not fresh, and you want the different varies of coarseness. That's why it's great to do it in the blender. We don't want a really fine ground. We want little chunks of that pepper in the rolls. It's going to look so beautiful. So we're going to just dump our peppercorns in here, put the lid on, and we're going to put this on high for about a minute, and it's going to do just exactly what we want. Let's just take a look and see. That's just about perfect. Actually, don't do it a minute. That was about 20 seconds at the most. Now we're going to dump this here in a bowl with some other peppers already ground up. There we go. And I'm not going to worry about this because now we're going to puree the potato and stuff in there. But since pepper and rosemary are already in the recipe, we can just leave it in there. So now we're going to take 4 eggs, crack our eggs in here. And I love the blender because when you do things like potato rolls and stuff, it's great to just mix all your liquid ingredients together in the blender and then just pour them right into your bowl and mix. So we have 4 eggs. We have some warm milk here. The egg and the milk are nice and warm, so we're not going to even worry about melting our butter. We're just going to put a whole cube of butter right into the blender. And then we have a potato. And the potato is kind of warm. I just took it out of the pressure cooker, so we're just going to slice that up so you can see the steam coming off of it, nice and hot. We're going to put that in there. We might as well add our salt. Put our salt in there, and we want to add some sweetener, and I love to use agave. It's great for breads. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 6 tablespoons of agave. There we go, a little more. Then we're going to put the lid on, and we're going to puree this. Put the lid right on, and it's just going to take a moment. And I didn't even worry about peeling the potato. No need to peel the potato. And you know, if you don't have a mess when you're cooking in the kitchen, you're doing something wrong. I always tell my wife, the bigger the mess, the better the taste. There we go. Look how beautiful that is. Everything is mixed up. A few little chunks of potato in there. That's perfect. Just going to add more texture to it. Okay, now at this point, we're going to add our flour and our yeast, our rosemary and black pepper, and knead it, and we're going to have great rolls. So we have our fresh ground pepper here, and I really like these peppery, so I'm going to just add probably about 3 heaping tablespoons of pepper in there. Don't be alarmed. I know what I'm doing. And then a nice handful of rosemary in there, and a little bit more if you like rosemary. And then we're going to take our flour. Now, I love whole grain. You know I'm all about whole grain, but every now and then, don't you just love a white flour roll? So we're using all white flour for this one. So we're going to put our white flour in there, about half of the flour the recipe calls for. And then on top of that, we're going to add our yeast. A couple tablespoons of that SAF instant yeast on there. I think it calls for about 3. So there we go. We're good to go. And then we're going to turn this on, and we're going to mix it until the dough pulls away from the side. And we're going to add white flour until it does that. And you can already smell the pepper and the rosemary and the potato. There we go, that's beautiful. A little more white flour in there. Now the trick with a dinner roll, you want to leave the dough just a little bit sticky. A good friend of mine taught me, the stickier the dough, the lighter the roll. That's looking really, really good. Just a drop more white flour, and then we're going to let it go for 6 minutes, and then I'm going to show you how to form the rolls. The dough has been mixing for 6 minutes. Now we're going to dump the dough out on the counter, and we're going to form our rolls. So we're going to put just a little bit of oil on the counter. Just going to rub that in. Take our dough and just dump it right out. I put a little bit of oil. The last moment of mixing, I drizzled a little bit of oil so it doesn't stick to the bowl. We have our dough. We're just going to take the dough hook off, and this dough is beautiful. The texture is great. That's why we love our WonderMix. And look at this dough. Oh my goodness. Absolutely beautiful. I want you to see though, this is the part I love about this dough. Look at the beautiful rosemary and the black peppercorns in there. Lovely. Just lovely. Okay, now I have a bowl of melted butter here. Now the holiday season is all about goodness and wonderful stuff. So, you know, I just kind of go over the top a little bit when it's the holiday season. So I just take a clump of dough in my hand, like this, and just kind of fold it over, and then I'm just going to squeeze it, and you need to make sure your hands are nice and oily. I just take and squeeze that through my hand to form a little dough, dip it in butter, and set it in my pan. And I'm just going to keep doing this. Just squeeze it through, dip it in butter, and place it in the pan until I've done this with all of the dough. And then we're going to cover the dough with more fresh ground pepper and rosemary and a little bit of melted butter. Let them raise until they're double and bake them to perfection. We have the perfect guest for our holiday dinner. The last thing we're going to do with these rolls is we're going to drizzle the remaining butter we have over the top. Just drizzle it over the top. There you go. We dipped them in butter. Now we're drizzling. Now we're going to take the fresh ground pepper that we did and just sprinkle pepper all over the top of them. And please trust me on this. I know what I'm doing. This pepper just makes these rolls a perfect roll for the holiday meal. And then some fresh ground rosemary. We're just going to sprinkle that over the top. And notice how it's falling down in the little holes there? That's great because it's going to raise right into the roll. And so the rolls are going to be so flavorful and delicious. We're going to let these rise until they're double, and then we're going to bake them for about 20 minutes maximum, till they're nice golden brown, and you're going to love them.